Picture a man in 2019. He just bought a three-bedroom house on the outskirts of Austin, Texas. He paid $240,000 for it. He has no background in real estate, no training in hospitality, no special connections. All he did was furnish that house with furniture from a regular store, list it on Airbnb, and wait. In his first month, he made $3,800. By his third month, $5,200. By the end of the year, that single property had generated over $55,000 in gross revenue. His mortgage payment was $1,400 a month. The math was absurd. Almost anyone with access to a mortgage could become a short-term rental entrepreneur overnight. Now picture that same man in 2025. Same house, same furniture, same Airbnb listing, but his monthly revenue has dropped to $2,200. Some months he barely covers the mortgage. He has 47 reviews, but his rating has slipped from 4.9 to 4.6. His calendar has more empty nights than booked ones. And every time he opens the app, he sees 3 new properties in his area that look better, cost less per night, and already have more reviews than he does. What happened? The short answer is that the game changed. The long answer is far more interesting. And if you stick around for the next few minutes, you will not only understand why it changed, but you will walk away with the exact rules that separate the hosts who are making money right now from the ones who are losing everything. To understand where we are today, you need to understand the dartboard metaphor. Imagine Airbnb as a dartboard. 5 to 7 years ago, the bullseye, the area where you win, covered almost the entire board. You could throw a dart blindfolded and have an incredibly high chance of hitting red. Interest rates were low, houses were cheap, and almost any deal cash flowed like crazy. But every year that passed, that bullseye got smaller. More investors entered the game. More properties flooded the platform. And suddenly, throwing the dart was not enough. You had to learn how to aim. Today, in 2026, the bullseye is the size of a coin. Interest rates are significantly higher, home prices have held strong, and Airbnb as a company is still growing, which means more hosts are entering the platform every single day, all competing for the same guests. The result is simple. Either you get extraordinarily good at throwing darts, or you stop playing. Let us start with where most hosts fail without even realizing it. Revenue management. It sounds technical, but it means exactly what it says. Actively managing the money that comes in through your pricing strategy. Most hosts today use dynamic pricing tools. They set their base rate, activate the software, and forget about it. The problem is that everyone is doing the exact same thing. If every host uses the same software to find the most competitive price, then nobody truly has a competitive price. It is like every restaurant on the same street using the exact same menu. There is no differentiation. The hosts who are winning right now do something different. They check their calendar every single day, they create custom promotions, they offer length of stay discounts, they adjust last-minute pricing to fill empty nights. They do not treat their price as something automatic. They treat it as an active sales tool. And that difference, that daily attention, is what separates a host who survives from one who thrives. Now let us talk about something that a few years ago was a competitive advantage and today is simply the price of admission. Interior design. 5 or 6 years ago, if your property had great design, you stood out. Half the hosts on Airbnb were furnishing their places with whatever they already had at home or with budget furniture from discount stores. If you invested in a nice sofa, a coherent color palette, and professional photos, you were in the top 1%. That no longer works. If you open Airbnb in any competitive market today, what you will find is a catalog of properties that look like they belong in a design magazine. Interior design is no longer your edge, it is the bare minimum required for someone to even consider clicking on your listing. But here is where things get interesting, because the new frontier is not inside the house. It is outside. The backyard, the outdoor amenities, pickleball courts, pools, even above-ground pools, hot tubs, saunas, basketball courts, mini golf. The data from the top-performing properties in the country shows a clear pattern. The money is being made outdoors. Experiential outdoor design is what is separating the good from the exceptional, and it is also the most powerful weapon the short-term rental industry has against hotels. Because a hotel will never be able to offer you a private pickleball court in your own backyard. There is a disease that infects almost every host at some point in their career. It is called door disease. The main symptom is an obsession with accumulating more properties, more doors, more units. The reasoning seems logical. If one property generates $3,000 a month, five properties should generate $15,000. But reality is far more complicated. More properties means more vendors, more cleaning crews, more plumbers, more electricians, more problems in more cities. And when your operation expands without a solid structure underneath it, every new property does not add to your income. It subtracts from it. Because your attention gets divided, your quality drops, your reviews suffer, and you end up with five properties making $1,000 each instead of one property making $5,000. The rule for this year is clear. Stop chasing quantity and start perfecting quality. Consolidate your operation. Simplify your vendor chain. Focus on making one property extraordinary before you even think about the next one. Because in a market as competitive as this one exceptional property will always outperform five mediocre ones. And this brings us to a truth that nobody likes to hear. Short-term rentals are not passive income. They never were, and they never will be. That narrative was sold for years. Buy a property, list it on Airbnb, automate everything, and sit back and collect checks. It is a beautiful story. It is also a lie. The people who are losing money right now are exactly the ones who believed that story. The ones who treated their business like something that runs itself. The reality is that Airbnb guests have become more demanding year after year, more detail-oriented, more critical, more willing to leave a one-star or two-star review over a problem that 3 years ago they would have ignored. A dripping faucet, a stain on a pillow, a burned-out light bulb. Things that used to be minor are now grounds for a formal complaint. The host who wins in this environment is not the one who reacts to problems. It is the one who gets ahead of them, who inspects the property before the guest complains, who replaces things before they break, who responds to messages before the question turns into frustration. This is the year of the active host. And if you are not willing to work your business like a real business, the market will push you out. Now I want you to think about something you have probably never considered. Imagine you have a job and that job is your only source of income. If tomorrow they fire you, your income vanishes completely. You have no control. You have no alternative. You depend entirely on a single entity for your financial stability. That is exactly what happens to most hosts with Airbnb. Their entire operation, every reservation, every dollar depends on a single platform. And that platform can suspend your listing, deactivate your account, or change its rules at any moment. It has happened. It has happened even to hosts with impeccable records. An account suspended for days over a misunderstanding. A listing taken down without warning. And while that listing is down, your only source of income for that property is gone. There is nothing you can do about it. The solution is something the industry has been whispering about for years, but this year it has become a shout. Direct bookings, building your own website, attracting guests directly to you without intermediaries, without platform commissions, without depending on someone else's algorithm for your business to function. And yes, you can purchase your own insurance for direct bookings. You do not need the platform's coverage. What you need is to stop building your house on someone else's land. This connects directly to something that is going to define the winners and losers of this industry in the coming years. Brand building, social media presence, funnel marketing. The data is compelling. Hosts who have built a brand around their properties are generating between 50 and 60% of their revenue through direct bookings. Some report a return of $9 to $12 for every dollar spent on social media advertising, and they do not even need millions of followers. With posts that get between 500 and 10,000 views, they are converting views into bookings, not through volume, through the quality of the brand. This is the year to learn funnel marketing, to create a social media presence that does not just showcase your property, but tells a story. That generates desire. That converts a curious scroller into a paying guest. If you do not do this, you will be competing solely on price within a platform that has more supply every single day. And that is a race nobody wins. There is an emerging trend that is completely redefining what it means to be a host, and it is the concept of micro-resorts, boutique hotels, landscape hotels, properties that are no longer simply houses with beds. They are complete experiences. Imagine a piece of land with 13 units, tiny homes, geodesic domes, hobbit-style cabins, A-frame structures. Each unit is unique. Each one offers something different. The combined operation generates between $85,000 and $120,000 per month. Per month. And here is the financial key that most people do not understand. When you own a single-family home, it does not matter how much money it generates as a rental. That house is worth what the neighboring houses are worth. The market does not reward you for your revenue. But when you own a commercial property, one that operates as a micro-resort, your valuation is based on a capitalization rate. The more money you make, the more your property is worth. Every additional dollar of income directly increases the value of your asset. These kinds of properties offer experiences that traditional hotels simply cannot replicate. A 400-room hotel chain where you share walls with hundreds of strangers will never compete with a private geodesic dome in the middle of nature. And that differentiation is what makes this model so powerful. You are not competing in the same category. You are creating a new one. And this brings us to the final rule, perhaps the most important one of all. Stop being behind on the trends. Get ahead of them. Everything we have discussed over the past few minutes is not new information for those who are at the forefront of this industry. Active pricing management, experiential design, direct bookings, brand building, micro resorts. There is a group of hosts who have been implementing these strategies for 1, 2, 3 years. And they are producing extraordinary results. If today is the first time you are hearing about any of these ideas, it is not too late, but it is urgent. The short-term rental market is not dying. It is maturing. And in every market that matures, the ones who survive are not the ones who work the hardest. They are the ones who adapt the fastest, the ones who understand that yesterday's rules no longer apply, the ones who stop clinging to strategies that worked in 2020 and start building for 2026 and beyond. That man in 2019, the one who bought that house in Austin and made money without knowing what he was doing, got lucky. The market was so favorable that almost any decision was the right one. But luck is not a strategy, and the market no longer forgives improvisation. The hosts who are going to thrive in the coming years are the ones who understand something fundamental. This is not a hobby. It is not passive income. It is not a shortcut to wealth. It is a business. And like every business, it demands strategy, constant adaptation, and the humility to accept that what worked yesterday will probably not work tomorrow. The Airbnb game did not end. It simply stopped being easy. And for those who are willing to play it seriously, the opportunities ahead are bigger than ever. If this changed the way you think about the short-term rental business, subscribe. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And I will see you in the next one.